Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. It's a Monday. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network. Phenomenal show lined up for you. Stephen Barnard, our guest. He's going to join us in about 22 minutes, the winemaker extraordinaire from Keswick Vineyards. If you watch this network, whether it's Barbara Lundgren's fantastic show, the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase, or if it's this show, you know we have tremendous respect for the Schoenberg family and what they have done for not only the wine industry in our community, but folks, just Central Virginia in totality. We're going to showcase this brand and the challenges that are presented for wineries and vineyards in our region due to restrictive legislation and frankly, due to a very challenging marketplace. We know that Keswick, just like many of the vineyards and wineries in this area, are doing whatever they can to keep things safe for you to patronize their business and to support their business. They are committed to safety first. We'll spotlight that with Stephen, along with this fantastic wine and what they are doing to succeed and move forward in a Darwinistic COVID-19 ecosystem. Like the show, share the show on any of the Facebook pages you're watching, whether you're watching on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Please do the same. Retweet it. Give us a heart or a share on LinkedIn. A lot of content we're going to cover today, a lot of news. All hell broke loose in Richmond last night. I don't know if you saw that, but we'll have that story for you as protesters and police go toe-to-toe. Homeschooling pods, all the rage. We've been covering it very well now. Eventually, the traditional media is now starting to cover homeschooling pods, including the Washington Post. We'll break those down from every single angle. The Front Porch, a fabulous nonprofit in downtown Charlottesville that offers many different various music lessons and music classes and an opportunity to engage with music. Emily Morrissey and the Front Porch, they are now offering content for homeschooling pods. We have parents divided in Greene County over virtual versus in-person education. Private schools in Lynchburg are 100% opening in person, furthering the wealth divide, at least in Lynchburg. We'll see how that applies to Charlottesville. And folks, the Virginia High School League has delayed the start of sports this season until December, and winter sports, the basketballs of the world, are going to start with sports this winter in public schools across the Commonwealth. A lot we're going to cover. My name is Jerry Miller. A lot of fantastic businesses help make this program possible. We are an advertising agency at I Love CVille and V&V Brands with 113 clients on our roster. Two of our favorites, Interstate Pest and Service Companies and Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. We love working alongside these two brands. Interstate is 4 generations of family in it, and Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine, changing people's lives through sports medicine, physical therapy, and chiropractic care. Judah Wickhauer's our director. Guys, Monday's loaded, so I'm just going to get straight to the content. And before we go anywhere, I think it's extremely important that we cover this topic right here, and it's the value of the University of Virginia to Charlottesville and Central Virginia. So many folks, and frankly, Mayor Walker is of this mindset. So many folks think we should turn their back to students in this community and not welcome the students to Charlottesville. I can understand why folks feel this. They want to keep the folks that are living in the community in Charlottesville and Central Virginia safe, especially after UVA students were seen partying during midsummers and not really being mindful of social distancing and COVID-19. I get it. It is scary if students come back to our community. I totally get it. I want to outline or discuss the collateral damage that will certainly happen if UVA students don't come back to Charlottesville. I need to outline this collateral damage for you so you can weigh the pros and cons in your mind of having University of Virginia students in Central Virginia and in Charlottesville. Undoubtedly, guys, without question, if we don't have UVA students, and please listen, please, it's just a conversation we're having. I need you to relay this to people as well so you can weigh the pros and cons of UVA versus no UVA. If we don't have students in Charlottesville this fall, this is what's going to happen. We will have a massive economic collapse in the city, and in Albemarle County, and in Central Virginia. If we have this massive economic collapse in the city and in Albemarle County because we don't have 25,000 kids with mommy and daddy's credit card, this is what's going to happen, okay? Teachers will have less money for compensation. Schools will have less money to teach the kids. Nonprofits won't get as much money as they had. Affordable housing will be a thing of the past. Bike lanes will be forgotten. Improving of roads and transportation will be forgotten. Public transportation will not be funded at the level it should be. 25,000 kids with mommy and daddy's credit cards drive GDP and drive revenue that's taxed by the city, by the county, and the counties in Central Virginia. That taxed revenue is then allocated to affordable housing, to nonprofits, to teachers, to schools, to fire and rescue, to bike lanes, to public transportation. If you lose this demographic of spending, we will have an economic collapse here. Mark that down. Okay? We're already talking about potentially no fans in the stands at Scott Stadium. No fans in the stands at Scott Stadium for football is going to really hurt a lot of businesses locally. If you're talking about removing students altogether from UVA for the 2021 school year, the collateral damage of this situation is much, 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 much worse, in my opinion, than having the students in Charlottesville for fear of spread of COVID. Okay, now that is a touchy subject. I know that it's a subject that a lot of people may disagree with, but just think about this. No UVA students for the 2021 school year means less money for teachers, compensation-wise, and teachers are already underpaid. Less money for schools, less money for bike lanes, public transportation, road improvement, nonprofits, and affordable housing. Furthermore, the municipalities will have to make up that budget deficit. How they will make up that budget deficit is by raising your real estate taxes and my real estate taxes. Raising your home, the cost to live in your home, and raising the cost to live in my home. And as you increase real estate taxes, you know what's going to happen? The barrier of entry of home ownership becomes more significant. The barrier of entry to own a home in Charlottesville and Albemarle County is already pretty steep. Why? Because it's expensive to purchase a house. When you raise real estate taxes, you are making it more difficult to buy a home. Okay? Furthermore, if you raise real estate taxes to make up for a budget deficit because you don't have 25,000 kids in this community, if you raise these taxes, the folks that are already homeowners that are living on a fixed budget will get stung. And this is going to mean less money for them to eat, less money for them to pay their bills, less money for them to keep their home in good condition. This will lead to the deterioration of homes. This will lead to gentrification, and this will lead undoubtedly to a lack of self-confidence for the people that are losing their houses. Okay? I truly hope everyone in our community that says UVA students should stay away from Charlottesville for 2020 and 2021 understand that will only widen the wealth gap. The rich will get richer and the poor will get more poor. These are facts, folks. This is what will happen. So next time you're at a conversation, or next time you're thinking, or next time you're on social media and you're having this conversation, let's keep students from returning to Charlottesville for this school year. Remember, that means you're saying no to teachers getting compensated fairly. That means that you are saying no to money being allocated to schools. That means you're saying no to money being allocated to affordable housing, bike lanes, public transportation, the improvement of roads, no to money being allocated to fire and rescue. And you are saying yes to increase real estate taxes. You are saying yes to making it more difficult to own a home in Charlottesville. You are saying yes to making it more difficult to manage and maintain your home in the city of Charlottesville because your overhead is greater. And when it's all said and done, what will happen is the wealth gap will widen, social unrest will increase, the rich will get richer, and the poor will get poorer. These are facts. This is economics. Straightforward economics. I learned it in Ken Elzinger's class. Everything is attached to something else. Okay? The ramifications and the collateral damage of having an economic collapse, of having no students in school, is much more significant, much more damning, and much more devastating than managing COVID-19 with students in Charlottesville. And that might be an unpopular opinion, but folks, these are freaking facts. If you want your real estate taxes to go up, if you want to see community turn into a rich area, because that's all the people who can afford the houses, and if you want to see greater social unrest, and if you want to see the wealth gap increase, then you stay a proponent of not having UVA students in Charlottesville this fall and spring. I don't want to see any of that. Next topic, let's go to Richmond, Virginia. All hell broke loose last night in Richmond. I don't know if you followed this story. Judah, get the photos on screen. These photos are from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Do not put the photos on screen unless we have lower thirds giving photo credit to the Richmond Times-Dispatch, please. Folks, you had a number of unsavory actors in Richmond over the weekend that pretty much were using the guise of the Black Lives Movement to use their platform to push their own agenda. You had the Richmond mayor and the Richmond police chief straight up saying in a press conference that this destruction, and you're rotating those photos, Judah, on screen? Okay, can you give me a thumbs up? Those are rotating on screen, thank you. What you're seeing on screen from the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and look at the screen. The police chief and the mayor straight up said the people that were protesting in Richmond were using the Black Lives Movement to push their own ulterior motive. Okay? You had people toting guns and machine guns in Richmond last night. You had VCU's campus, part of it destroyed. Okay? This is going to a level that is tremendously concerning. When you have groups that are tied to racist white people, and I'll leave it at that, coming to Richmond, pretending to be the Black Lives Movement, and exploiting the situation for their personal gain and their personal agendas, you have a serious problem on your hands. That literally is what's happening in Richmond, Virginia right now. Police over the weekend in Richmond were clearing out areas of the city and simply arresting people to clear them out. Folks that were holding cameras and videotaping stuff got arrested. I tell you this not because I know I have an answer for you of how to solve this. I don't. I tell you this to relay what's happening 60 miles down the road from us. I also tell you this as a warning sign, as something that I hope City Council is watching when it comes to the statues we have around this community. Okay? We need a plan of attack to get these things away from Charlottesville. We're past the point of keeping them. We know that's not going to happen. Let's be transparent and give us a plan of attack so we don't see what happens in Richmond in our beloved community. Let's go to the next headline, please. And the next one I think is a really good one, homeschooling pods. We've been talking about this for a month on the show. The Washington Post is now covering it. You're seeing stories about this in traditional media. We've been talking about it for 30 days. Here it is in a nutshell. Neighbors and parents in a unique neighborhood are coming together. 5 parents, 6 parents, 7 parents. They are recruiting teachers from public schools, and they are paying these teachers more money that they are making in the public schools themselves. They are covering their insurance, and they're covering, boys and girls, all their out-of-pocket supplies. And in return, these parent sets, 5 parents, 6 parents, 7 parents, get a dedicated teacher for their kid, and the pod rotates each week from one home to another home, whether it's backyard learning, cul-de-sac learning, back deck learning, learning on the playing field in the individual neighborhood. This is spreading like wildfire right now. Homeschooling pods. Public school teachers taking more money than they make in the school system. Public school teachers who do not have to spend money out of pocket for school supplies, pencils, paper, books, and other learning material, and instead, boys and girls, taking a learning environment and perhaps offering more value proposition to the students than ever before because the class size is 5, 6, or 7 kids. Watch this. In my respective neighborhood, I am seeing a first grade homeschooling pod created, a second grade homeschooling pod created, a third grade homeschooling pod created, and a sixth grade homeschooling pod created. Is the future of education, in particular at an elementary school level, is the future of education teachers coming to neighborhoods and teaching kids at home? Only time will tell. And another topic I was talking about over the weekend, the smoke and mirrors illusion of this vaccine. Folks, the concept of a vaccine to cure COVID is being leveraged almost like a magic trick by the current administration. And the current presidential administration continues, and I'm a libertarian, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican. I'm a disenchanted individual who's ticked off that his only 2 options are 2 old white guys for the presidency. I think Trump has questionable morals, and by questionable, that's a compliment. I think Joe Biden has questionable mental stability, and that's a compliment. What we're seeing from the current administration is a magic trick when it comes to this vaccine. Every so often, much more frequently of late, we're seeing the current administration say we're making strong progress on a vaccine. I'm not a negative Nancy. I'm a cautious, realistic optimist. Okay? The concept of a vaccine coming in 2020 is BS. And when a vaccine does come, if you think that vaccine is going to be readily available, like we can go to Wegmans and get the flu shot in our arm, and then they give us a voucher for a $12 free pizza, if you think that's going to happen right away, you're dead wrong. We are at a time, unfortunately, where we have to manage COVID-19 with masks and social distancing. If you're hitching your brain to a vaccine saving us, that ain't going to happen anytime soon. And frankly speaking, who's to say we even get one? There are plenty of viruses that don't have vaccines. Just do the research. Do a basic Google search. Okay? So anyone that's watching this program, if you're saying, I'm not going to leave my house until we get a vaccine, or I'm not going to leave my neighborhood until we get a vaccine, get ready to be a freaking hermit. Get ready for some agoraphobia. It ain't coming anytime soon. And when it does, it's not going to roll out right away. Okay? Please understand, it's nothing but a PR ploy, a smoke and mirrors magic trick to try to get votes for a November election. Next topic, Judah Wickhauer. Front Porch is a fabulous nonprofit on the downtown mall. Do you have the graphic? The graphic is on screen. Look at the screen, look at the screen, look at the screen. The Front Porch, a fabulous, 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 fabulous nonprofit led by the one and only Emily Morrison, is now offering music curriculum or music classes for homeschooling pods. We are now seeing nonprofits and businesses in Charlottesville pivot their models to offer opportunity and curriculum for homeschooling pods that are sprouting up left and right all over Charlottesville and Central Virginia. I applaud Emily and the Front Porch for being creative. Whether it's basic music classes, kids band, instrumental lessons, singing in harmony, they have you covered with options. And I applaud that. The only fatal flaws that I see with homeschooling pods are as follows. A, it undoubtedly is creating an elite, wealthy, white situation. The homeschooling pods are propping up in neighborhoods that have affluence and means. That means kids whether it's 5 kids in a class, 6 in a pod, 7 in a pod, they're going to school with kids that look exactly like themselves. That is a tough pill for me to swallow as a father of a young dad. Okay? B, the homeschooling pods are asking public school teachers to leave their job in the school system and come teach 5 to 7 kids in a neighborhood. When these teachers do that, what does that do for their retirement track from the public school system? You have to work X amount of years in a school system to get retirement. If you stop working in the school system, you are then slowing your progress in your role to collecting retirement. And lastly, the other fatal flaw I see with homeschooling pods is how sustainable are these? Do they last a year? Do they last 2 years? And then do we go back to school normally? And if we go back to school normally, did those teachers then lose 2 years of work, 2 years of effort toward their retirement compensation? Okay, so the homeschooling pods has a problem with diversification. The homeschooling pods have a problem because teachers are backing away from their retirement. And finally, how long are they sustainable in a neighborhood? Questions teachers must ask themselves. Stephen Barnard is going to join us in T-minus 2 minutes here on the I Love CVille show. Give it a like, give it a share. Let's go to the next headline. Greene County parents are divided. And we're going to effort a couple of Greene County parents on today's program, or this week on the network. We have Greene County is a conservative county. Okay? Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville are liberal municipalities. Look at the voting record. Look at who's in office. Charlottesville and Albemarle County, super liberal. Is there a single Republican on the Board of Supervisors? Someone help me with that. Is there a single Republican on the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors? There's no Republicans on the city of Charlottesville City Council. The last Republican to serve on the city Charlottesville City Council was Rob Schilling, 10 plus years ago? Okay, so Greene County, very conservative and very Republican, is more evenly split on in-person learning versus virtual education. In fact, more people in Greene County want in-person education versus virtual. And the reason you know that is by seeing how many parents are signing up to support virtual in Greene. So I explain this to you because you are seeing this issue in Nelson, in Orange, in Louisa, in the city of Charlottesville, and in Albemarle County. And you're watching as the people that make up these municipalities, you are literally watching as they are divided on this topic. My plan is to try to effort some parents from Greene, from both sides, to see their take on this particular program. I find it interesting that Greene, while they are divided in Greene as parents, many more in Greene County are pushing for in-person education versus virtual education. The other municipalities like the city of Charlottesville, Albemarle County, they want virtual. The parents want virtual. Greene is the opposite, although they are divided. The next headline comes from Lynchburg, and then we're going to welcome Stephen on the show. Guys, the Lynchburg News at Advance, and get the headline on screen, Judah Wickhauer. The private schools in Lynchburg are the Virginia Episcopals of the world are straight up saying, we're going 5 days a week of in-person. Literally, 5 days a week of in-person. In fact, Virginia Episcopal School, which is a phenomenal private school, is literally saying, this is the challenge we face as a private school. Some of our students are boarders. They live on campus. Others are day students. They do not. Fork Union Military Academy, this applies to them. Blue Ridge School, this applies to them. The Miller School, this applies to them. St. Anne's Belfield has boarders, some that live on campus and are not day students. So here's the conundrum the private school has that have folks that live on campus and the ones that are simply day students. The private school has 2 types of students. The one that's going to campus on school and then leaving at 3:30 or 4 to go back to Charlottesville or Albemarle County, their parents and their friends in their neighborhood, they potentially can bring COVID to a school where the boarders that are the students that are living on grounds at their particular school, they're much more isolated and controllable. So the Virginia Episcopals of the world, the Blue Ridge Schools of the world, the Fork Union Military Academy of the world, the Miller Schools of the world, they have this challenge. How do we keep our boarding students safe when we know so many of our students are day students that come for school during the day and then leave to the real world. So the Virginia Episcopals of the world are isolating the boarding students from the day students. Interesting. The private school dilemma is not about, yes, it is about in-person education. Yes, it is. They have advantages public schools don't. They have massive land where they could do classes outside. They have endowments, much more financial resources, smaller class sizes. They have improved technology. They are able to pivot much faster than the archaic, slow, bureaucratic public school system. Okay? The value proposition of private schools has never been greater. The private schools are faced with this challenge, which is another layer to the onion of COVID-19. How do we keep boarding students separate from day students? It's very intriguing. Eventually, anthropologists and sociologists from across the world will look at this COVID-19 time frame and use it, folks, as a case study for PhD papers, for master's programs, and as curriculum for their students. Brad Wilcox, the fabulous sociology professor that captivated my attention as a first year at the University of Virginia. Love you, Brad Wilcox. Somebody tell Brad Wilcox I'm giving some props. Eventually, the Brad Wilcoxes of the world will be looking at COVID-19 and saying, this is going to be 2 weeks of curriculum for you guys. Anthropology 2. It's crazy. We are living in the moment of something that will be in history textbooks. We are living in the moment of something that is changing the world literally in real time as we are experiencing it. It is exhausting, demoralizing, deflating, depressing, disturbing, disgusting, downright downtrodden. That's a lot of alliteration right there. I got comments coming in, and then I'm going to welcome Stephen Barnard. Gary Grant, I love you, Gary Grant. He says there are no Republicans on the Albemarle Board of Supervisors. Thank you, Gary. There are no Republicans on the Charlottesville City Council. There are a lot of Republicans in Greene County. And you're seeing the parents in Greene want in-person education, more so than virtual. The opposite of Albemarle and the opposite of the city of Charlottesville. Give the show a like and a share. Give it a like, share. Give it a like and a share. Thank you for those that have already done it, including you, Johnny. I love you, Johnny. I love you, Kat Barnard. I love you, Keswick Vineyards, Ray Cadell. A lot of people watching right now. I'm going to welcome Stephen to the program. It's ringing right now, Judah Wickhauer. Winemaker extraordinaire. Stephen has almost turned into a celebrity. I watched Stephen on his live stream on the Keswick Vineyards page. This dude has turned into a freaking celebrity. Not only can he make amazing wine, not only is he a strikingly good-looking man. I mean, look at this guy. Put him on screen so people can see this man's face. But he's turning into a celebrity on Facebook Live. Stephen, you are live with a lot of folks watching you right now. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm
doing well. First, I want to say congratulations. New father, huh?
Yeah, little guy, 1 month old, so not a lot of sleep, but full of joy. And
I have a 2-year-old and change. It's the best, hardest thing ever. How are you and your special better half managing this 1 month old?
Well, listen, I am married to an incredible woman, Kat, who can do anything and everything and take on more. So I'm useless. I make wine, and that's about it. And she does everything else. And God bless her, and we have our 11-year anniversary on Saturday, and I'm surprised she's kind of stuck with me so long, but she can do a hell of a lot better.
I love that. Stephen is good people. I think every man, Steve, were you in the delivery room when your child was coming out of your wife?
Absolutely.
What was that experience like? I saw it with my wife, and then I'm going to throw this to you. My wife birthed a 9.2-pound bowling ball. A 9.2-pound bowling ball coming out of her body. When a man sees a woman deliver a bowling ball through a small hole, I think that women should rule the world, and they can do stuff that men can never do. Every man should see a woman birth a child, and that will change your perspective on women altogether. I'm going to throw that topic to you, Stephen.
Yeah, man, I sobbed like a baby. It's the greatest moment. It puts everything into perspective, and you're right. I'm like, there's no way in hell that I could do this, and she did it like a champ, and out came this beautiful 7-pound, 13-ounce little boy, and she and I were sobbing, and I'm not afraid to say it. It's one of the happiest days of my life. So without a doubt. But women are incredible, strong, resilient, and make us look like a bunch of wussies sometimes.
That's so true. Amen, brother. You just got a lot of man points in the savings account right there. I love this guy already. All right, Stephen, I'm going to get out of your way. Introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, no worries. Stephen Barnard, the winemaker or farmer for Keswick Vineyards, but that's how I see ourselves. I work for the Schonberg family, which are my in-laws, Al and Cindy. You know them well. And Brian, my brother-in-law, work here. Married to the second of the 4 kids from Al and Cindy, or Al and Val, rather, Kathy. And just been grateful to have been a part of this winery since inception in 2002. And I'm glad to be in Virginia and Charlottesville making wine. This is God's country for sure.
Keswick, one of the market leaders. Al and Cindy, instrumental, much like the King family in Central Virginia and in wine across the Commonwealth. My friend, this has been a challenging year. We have ridiculous frosts that's impacting the vines. And then we have COVID-19. Can you put in perspective 2020 for vineyards and wineries? And Stephen, I'm getting a heads up from our team over here. You have 11 vineyards in the area watching you right now. Can you put 2020 into perspective, sir?
It's been challenging, but I think with challenging kind of situations comes resiliency. You learn, you educate, you find out about yourself. I know my colleagues, they're tough. You got to be somewhat crazy to grow grapes and make wine in Virginia. But then you also realize there's a lot we can control and then a lot we can't. And as you say, 2020, a mild winter and early bud break, we got some frost, we gave it horns, we tried to do the best that we could. And unfortunately, we took a bit of a hit. But, if we're going to focus on the negative, you just jump off a bridge. So what we're doing is we're focusing on how we finish 2020. And I think we're going to finish strong. We're going to come out better for it, and we might make less wine, but there's no reason to suggest we might not make the best wine ever. So let's stay positive. Let's stay, head above water, and I think we'll be okay. COVID, obviously, that's a tough one, just because of the unknown. My wife is a virologist. She got a PhD at UVA, so she and I have a lot of chats about the virus and what to do about it. And it's scary for the uncertainty, for not being able to work, or for businesses small and large. So, what we do is just keep swimming, one foot in front of the other, stay positive, and I'm sure we're going to come out of it positively on the other side.
How have you guys pivoted, changed the model to adapt?
Yeah, sure. So I think a lot of it is e-commerce, virtual, trying to go out and reach audiences. The days of people coming to the tasting room and being sort of served face-to-face, right now that's not a possibility. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're safe to the staff and to our visitors. So we've had to be a little bit more sort of, kind of come up with ideas to it. So a lot of virtual tastings, a lot of online, reaching people in the comfort of their home. And I think that's the way forward. People know about Virginia. People know about Keswick and Kings and Barbersville and stuff. It's about staying, front and center and making sure they support locally. That's really important when you want to drink wine. Please drink Virginia. Please drink locally. It doesn't always have to be Keswick. But support local businesses, breweries, distilleries, wineries, cideries. That goes a long way. But getting in front of people, virtually, I think is a big way forward, not just for now, but in the future as well.
Throw this conversation that the Board of Supervisors are having. The Board of Supervisors are using their influence to get the City Council of Charlottesville on the same page as them potentially. So I'm going to offer an outline and then throw it to you. The conversation now is moving us from phase 3 potentially to a phase 2.5 or maybe even a phase 2. How, if this does happen, Stephen, how could this impact vineyards and wineries across the area?
Well, our business model is not just wine. It's special events, it's weddings as well. And I think the 2.5, as far as I understand, it's sort of a compromise between 3 and 2, right? So instead of 20 people or 150 or 200, you might be 125. So that's going to be a little bit tough to handle because we are reliant on weddings. It's a big part of our business. It's also a way that people visit, see, taste the wine, and then the residual effect is that they kind of join the wine club or they taste the wines. The tasting room, pretty much we're in phase 2 right now. We're not allowing people in. We're doing social distancing and, kind of recyclable material. So it's not really going to affect us that way, but I'm really reliant on special events and groups and events for the wine club or for weddings. I think that's going to be a little bit challenging moving forward. but it's better than phase two. I think we can still hold it. We've put a lot of effort into how we can do it safely. We had our first wedding a couple of weeks ago, and by all accounts, it went well. People felt comfortable, and that's a good step in the right direction.
The Virginia Lodging, Tourism and Restaurant Association have written a letter to the Board of Supervisors and the City Council basically begging on behalf of the restaurants not to drop from 3 to 2. The question I have for you, you're in the wine space, in the wine business, not in restaurants, but here's the question I have from you, and I'm going to learn from you. If the restaurants are not fully functional, which we know they're not, and if they potentially get restricted even more, does that potentially hurt the vineyards and wineries around the area in that people can go to the restaurant, drink your fabulous wine, and then say, good gosh, this red from Keswick and Stevens banging, let me go to the vineyard itself and try it after having it at C&O or having it at Fleury? Is that a good correlation, or is that not a good correlation?
I think that there's a certain amount of truth to that. If you're in the distribution business, distribution is really about marketing, right? Is to get your glass in or get your wine in a glass of someone that hasn't tried your wines before and have an impact so positive that they want to look you up on the website or they want to come and visit. So if you're in the distribution game, I think it's going to have some sort of effect. But as you say, businesses are going to have to pivot and figure out a way to do that. But there's no doubt about it. If you're in that sort of that market segment and that's a part of your business model, it's going to have an adverse effect. Now, saying, I don't know, we don't do a lot of distribution per se. We go through the VWDC, we self-distribute. We actually don't have distribution, via a distribution company, so to speak. So we are fortunate to a certain extent that's not going to kind of affect us that heavily. But yeah, there are other wineries out there that are going to feel the pinch of that, without a doubt.
You guys are a resilient family, an entrepreneurial family, an innovative family, a family that is come together, a family that does well by the community first before their business. That's why you guys have been successful. Can you give us some insight into the vulnerability and the fear that was initially felt by your family business upon COVID breakout?
Sure. Well, we're very sort of cohesive when it comes to the wine, not so much when it comes to football, because I'm a Buckeye, my father's a Michigan fan, and my mother-in-law is a Michigan State fan. So November, we're not on the same page. Look, we have a responsibility first and foremost to our employees, people who have families, people who are reliant on paychecks and stuff. So we wanted to make sure that, we stayed in business, that we were able to take care of those that are reliant on Keswick and the farming business to support their families. The uncertainty of it all makes it difficult. It makes it difficult to plan, makes it difficult to invest, and that's the hard part about it. So are we nervous? Are we a little bit worried? Sure. Do we feel that we have a wine club and a loyal supporter base that can sustain us for the next couple? Without a doubt. And I'm not saying, there's incredible wineries out there, and there's a lot of very passionate families and passionate people that are working, that are not in a boat different to ours. So, yeah, we're hard at work trying to figure out how to negotiate an uncertain future, and how to make sure that the business remains viable and sustainable, and how we can keep people working and coming in, but doing it in a manner that is safe not only to our staff, but to our public as well.
This guy is an exceptional spokesman for this company. You are crushing this right here. I'm going to throw this topic to you. So we were having this conversation late last week. Your fabulous mother-in-law, Cindy, was involved in the conversation on social media. There is this myth or this stigma out there that if you have a vineyard or winery, then you're like DuckTales, and you're swimming in gold coins, and you have all the bags of money in the world that you need. Can we clearly debunk that stigma? Because that is not actual reality. Can I throw that to you?
Yeah, without a doubt. You do it for the love and not for the money. It's a lifestyle. There are wineries that have sold off to businesses that have made money, but we're farmers. Think of agriculture. I know it's we get up in 5-piece suits and ties and taste wines with a bunch of. It doesn't work that way. If I got up, I'm covered in wine, kind of filtering right now. So it is hard work. It's working the land. It's there's variables that you can't control. Mother Nature itself kind of had the say in how we got through the year this way. So you do it for the love, you do it for the passion, and hopefully people can taste that in your wine. But are you making tons of money of it? We're doing well. We're very grateful. We can support. We live a good lifestyle. But are we multimillionaires? Probably not. But, I can't imagine doing anything else anywhere else without a doubt.
This topic, I love the cool things I'm seeing at Keswick. Our buddy Aaron Watson and Lisa Watson doing unicorn shoots in front of your fountain. I mean, we have kids getting awesome photos by one of the best photographers in front of your fountain on your grounds. We got Greg Ward playing phenomenal reggae music at Keswick Vineyards.
That's Saturday.
Yeah, safe and socially distanced. I just love the creativity. Can you give us some insight into some other creativity we're seeing?
Oh, gosh. I mean, the unicorn photos were great. And Aaron has been a long dear friend of ours and is a phenomenal photographer. Greg and Matt Johnson, who was on The Voice, who's phenomenal. You'd be amiss if you didn't hear him. Yeah, we've done sort of virtual barrel tastings. One of the events we've just finished and finishing tomorrow night, normally we want people to come in because you can talk about your story, you can hear about it. So we did a bunch of barrel samples and sent it out and did a barrel tasting online, stuff like that. And that's sort of the creativity part of it, perhaps, but it's also about making sure your product gets tasted and that you can still have that. But at the end of the day, we're not in the wine business. We're actually in the hospitality business. It's about relationships and community and family. And that's how we've sort of kind of maintained that sort of relationship. Wine is just the excuse we use to chat to you. So the virtual barrel tasting, our consensus, unfortunately, is an event that we do every year where people can come in and make a wine for us. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, we haven't been able to do that. But hopefully we can do that down the line, and perhaps we can do that virtually as well. We don't know. So, just trying to think of different things and, having fun thinking about it, but also it's also pretty challenging.
Steven, you're like the second coming of Brad Pitt in these virtual tastings, man. I mean, I'm watching you in these virtual tastings, and I'm like, there's so many freaking people watching Steven. I mean, this dude is like the Brad Pitt of Central Virginia here. Did you ever think that the response was going to be as great as it was?
Oh, no. I mean, look, I've got a face for radio.
No, you don't, Steven. No, you don't.
The only thing I have is an accent, and people are very gracious, and they're very bored. So they kind of listen because they got nothing else to do. And then if you throw kind of wine and discounts at them, they'll forgive all your sort of gantry and stuff like that. But, that's not the point. At the end of the day, I'm just one person from a fabulous team. Winemakers take a lot of credit, obviously. But behind the winemakers, the vineyard managers, and the crew that work in the fields and put the blood, sweat, and tears and working in 95-degree heat. So honestly, my job is don't screw it up, but all the praise to the guys and girls out there, the Manuels and the Rebeccas and the Lewis and the Delfino and, Gerardo that work and allow us the opportunity to do what we do and then, give us the kind of grapes that allows us to make the kind of wines that we do. So just one very, very small part of an incredible team. Certainly not looking to be sort of a spotlight. I'd rather shine the spotlights on a bunch more people that actually deserve it.
Your mother-in-law, Cindy, fabulous. Your brother-in-law, Brian, fabulous. They're very much involved with the wedding piece at Keswick Vineyards. Literally on site during these events, which is awesome. I don't think a lot of folks realize that when you get married at Keswick Vineyards, you're getting married at Cindy and Al's place at their house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Yeah, poor Al can't barbecue or go and sit in the hot tub sometimes. But, they've been very gracious opening up their grounds and their house, and they do a phenomenal job. I mean, what you do is you've got the owner and my brother-in-law working, and if you're not going to get treated 5-star by those folks, you're never going to be. So if you get married here, they're going to treat you like family, and we get so many guests that come back and do their 5-year, 10-year anniversaries, and Cindy stays in touch. She takes photographs. And Brian is just phenomenal at what he does. And people walk away going, not only was it the best day of my life, it was even better than I thought it would be.
I've been to 3 weddings at Keswick Vineyards, and arguably 3 of the top 6 weddings I've ever been to at this man's vineyard. It's that hospitable and that 5-star. How about the impact, because it never should be understated or undervalued, the impact of weddings in this community and this region, Steven?
Absolutely. I mean, weddings, but people have to stay somewhere, so it impacts the B&Bs and the hotels. They have to go and eat, so they go to the restaurants, they go to Monticello, the sites, and we want them to visit other wineries as well. It's very, very important. Virginia is still an emerging wine industry. We're not emerged, so the weddings is great for us, obviously, but the residual effect of people coming to Keswick is far-reaching for other businesses as well, which is really, really important. the influx of sort of the economy boost to Charlottesville and the local areas is not to be understated.
The previous economic development officer for Albemarle County was in our studio on Friday, and she said every wedding that's held in Albemarle County generates $100,000 in taxable revenue for the county of Albemarle.
Oh, wow.
That is hugely impactful for schools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Stephen, I got a couple more questions for you, and we have some questions coming in from the feed. The questions coming in from the feed here are about futures and how people can get involved with futures at Keswick.
Sure. So visit us online, keswickvineyards.com, or our Facebook page. Every Tuesday we do a virtual tasting at 7 p.m. And then they just have to get on the main page. There's a featured item. They get incredible discounts. You know, the futures kind of program is we're still working on the wines. You've got to trust us to do a good job and not screw it up. But you'll get it once the wines are bottled. So Facebook, call us in the tasting room, 244-3341. We got so many people that are happy to help you. And if you want wine, we'll make
Another question coming in for you. This is a good one, or maybe it's not. You're the expert. I'm the layman here. Does COVID-19 or this 2020 world we're in make it easier to do reds over whites or whites over reds?
I don't think there's a time and a place for neither. I think every time is a good time to drink reds and white. And don't forget rosé. Rosé is an incredible kind of wines. You know, real men drink pink sometimes as well, right?
Keep going.
Like they say, conversation without wine is just called gossiping. So, you know, at the end of the day, no matter the circumstance, make sure you have wine and make sure you have Virginia wine in your glass. That's
Next question coming in. Stephen, how many bottles of wine do you drink a week?
Probably between 5 and 7, without a doubt.
That's not bad. I would think more than that, Stephen.
Well, tasting aside, I probably have a few glasses every night. They say it's good for you, and I'm really sort of exploring the health effects, and I'll let you know in a couple of years. But listen, you know, we love wine. I love drinking it. I love making it. I love exploring. I drink an insane amount of other people's wines, which is really, really important. So probably 5 to 7. Probably not sustainable on the wallet, but you know, it makes you kind of stay positive.
Stephen, so you're saying 4 glasses of wine a day keeps the doctor away?
Oh, without a doubt, but I don't go to the doctor anyway, so it's okay. Yeah, look, I mean, everything in moderation, obviously, but I enjoy coming home and playing with the kids and pouring a glass of wine and just kind of looking out at the deck and saying, you know what, despite all the craziness, we're still very lucky. We're still very fortunate to live in a place that we do and work at a place that I do. And at the end of the day, you know, nothing to complain
Amen,
about.
brother. Okay, a couple more questions for you. We're a platform of hope. I Love CVille, a platform of hope. We are, you know, cautious optimists, but we are a platform of hope. How about a message of cautious, optimistic hope for everyone that's watching?
Look, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the only thing you control is yourself. You can only control your actions, your outlook, and your positivity, and from that breeds, you know, reciprocation. I think, you know, if you want to be treated with kindness, you have to practice it. If you want to be treated with respect, you have to practice it as well. Look, yeah, we're realistic. You know, we're realists in that, you know, we're living in tough times, trying times. But I think the one thing that we can't do is lose hope and lose the fact that we got to remain safe. We got to remain positive. We got to kind of listen to the experts and do what's got to do. But at the end of the day, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We want to get back to some sort of normalcy. But the only thing you can do is take care of yourself. And from there, you know, others will follow. So you can't expect people to be one thing and you can't do it. So, you know, just practice kindness. You know, it costs nothing. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. Say thank you. Tell people you love them. Tell people you appreciate them. It goes a long way. And I think as simple as that, you know, the impact on the world is going to be great.
Dude, this guy is tremendous. You have the gift of gab, and then the accent takes it to another level. This is a spokesman right here for the brand, without question. All right, here's the most difficult question I have for you, Stephen.
All righty.
Okay, we got a fall football Saturday. You're an Ohio State Buckeye. Cindy's a Michigan State.
The Ohio State.
The Ohio State. Sorry. The Ohio State. Cindy likes the Michigan State Spartans. Big Al likes the Michigan Wolverines. I mean, what the heck is happening on a Saturday over at your neck of the woods?
Oh, I'm in a great position because we beat them every year, so it's okay. I think the record with Michigan and Ohio State is about 25-0. Let the Michigan teams duke it out. You know, it's No, it's fun to kind of have that sort of rivalry and have that sort of intensity. At the end of the day, we work well together. We're family. We can love each other after the fact, or love each other in January, basically, once we lose to Clemson again in the bowl. But yeah, I think that's what makes the world go around. We can all come together over wine, and we kind of hate each other when it comes to football.
You were fantastic today, dude.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And listen, I appreciate the opportunity and what you do as well. So, very, very much. I love the hope and the message of positivity. So keep doing what you're doing. We watch your show, and yeah, keep on trucking.
Thank you, Stephen. You have a good one.
And you too.
Take care,
guys.
Stephen. He killed it.
God bless.
He killed it. He killed it. He killed it. I love that, guys. Stephen, Alan, Sydney, he is welcome on this show anytime he wants. Stephen, job well done. Job well done. My wife and I visited Keswick a couple of weeks ago, guys. They are doing this the right way, the safe way, the socially distanced, the mask-wearing way, enjoying wine outside. And if you don't want to do that, get on their member list. I mean, the place is bona fide. It is a gem on eastern Albemarle County, and I live on that side of town now. Give the show a like and a share. If you have comments you want to get in the stream, now is the time to do it. If you have comments on the stream, now is the time to do it. Kelly Jackson has a comment, and Kelly Jackson says, ooh, this is a good one. Students will come back with or without school. They have already signed leases. They will just do distance learning from the apartment, house, frat house, and then UVA won't be able to test them. She is exactly right. In fact, we were at our neighborhood pool this weekend on Saturday. In our neighborhood pool, the lifeguards are UVA students and college students. And the neighborhood pool the lifeguard straight up said, look, we have leases. We are going to go to our college no matter what. And we will learn from our apartment or we will learn in person at our school. But either way, as college students, we're not going to stay home with mom and dad. We're going to go to our apartments. She is exactly right. The students are going to come to Charlottesville regardless if they're learning on grounds or if they're learning from a computer in their bedroom on 14th Street. Okay? And please, dear God, do not devalue or turn your back or shun University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia. This is the city of UVA. It's not the city of Charlottesville. Please, Mayor Walker, please. Okay, Brennan Rhodes, what up, dude? Brennan Rhodes watching the program. Hello, homie. Carrie Hannon Woolard, that's it. My number is far more embarrassing. What, you're talking about the 5 to 7 bottles a week, Carrie? I mean, I thought more for Stephen, more than 5 to 7 bottles. Frankly, I'm a beer guy, maybe 4 to 5 beers a night. I mean, Dave Warwick knows this. Three Notch knows this. I'm a member of of the Three Notch Beer Club. You know what? A couple of beers or a couple of wines or a couple of rosés a day keeps the doctor away, especially now. This is what I'm really intrigued about. How many of you guys at home right now, because of quarantining, are pouring your cocktails or pouring your beers or pouring your wines all the way to the brim? I mean, instead of a shot and a half in a cocktail, you might be doing 4. Instead of a beer or a beer and a half, you might be pouring 2. Instead of a wine with 3 fingers right below the brim, you might be pouring the wine all the way up to the top. How many of you guys are doing that? And if you are doing that, how hard is it going to be when you go back to the restaurant and you see the 3 fingers below the rim on your wine glass when you're used to having the wine in the meniscus all the way to the brim? That's how I'm enjoying my beverages. That's how my wife is enjoying her wine. Shelly Simpson Waldeck gives Stephen Barnard some props with the hands emoji, In fact, Stephen Barnard, you're getting a lot of love here on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter as well, along with across the I Love CVille network on Facebook. Give the show a like and a share. Judah, we have more headlines we have to get to. Let's get to the one about eateries laying people off, restaurants laying people off. Give me the thumbs up when that's on screen. CBS 19 ran a story, and I've talked with many of the restaurant owners in Charlottesville, and they straight up said, the restaurant owners of the city of Charlottesville. In fact, I was having a social media conversation with Daniel Kaufman of Public Fish and Oyster on Matthew Gillikin's Facebook page last night and into this morning, and Daniel straight up said from Public, put it on social media, if we go from phase 3 to phase 2, I have to lay people off. Okay? And he's got a small restaurant. He knows I love his restaurant. It's got one of the best happy hours in Charlottesville Public. The seafood is banging. Public is freaking amazing. But he was honest. He straight up said, if we go from 3 to 2 or even 3 to 2 to 2.5, I have to lay people off. So the industry that's been ravaged more than any other industry, I think you could say, is restaurants. You can make a strong argument for hospitality and weddings. You can certainly make a strong argument for transportation. But let's just say restaurants, okay? Restaurants are literally telling the leaders in our town, in county and city, that if you cut us back from 3 to 2, we will terminate and lay people off. Okay? That's going to happen. So I implore, encourage, tap them on the shoulder, ask them nicely, please be mindful of the economic impact that you're going to have on this community if you take us from 3 and down. You will cause thousands of people to lose their jobs, and that is not an understatement. That is not an understatement. More comments coming in. Barbara Lundgren says, the county already regulates food at the wineries. Andre Xavier says, Steven is one of the best winemakers and a great person. Kat is watching. Schoenberg, Barnard. Aria says hello. Welcome to the program, Aria. Give it a like, give it a share on any of these streams, and we will relay that perspective on air. The next headline I want to get to, Judah Wickhauer, is the Virginia High School League delaying fall sports. Did you see this? The Virginia High School League announced today that we're delaying sports until December. Delaying sports until December. And the sports that start the season will be the winter sports: basketball, gymnastics, indoor track, swimming and diving, and wrestling. Those sports will start the public school sports season. Basketball, gymnastics, indoor track, swimming and diving, and wrestling will take place from December 14th to February 20th. The fall sports will then follow from February 15th to May 1. The fall sports: cross country, cheerleading, field hockey, football, golf, and volleyball. And then following that, the spring sports will close it out with baseball, lacrosse, softball, tennis, track and field from April 12th to June 26th. So in a nutshell, you have a condensed season. Folks, when I grew up, I was playing soccer, I was running track, I was playing baseball. Okay? Having this condensed season is going to be very arduous for the public school student athlete who does not have breaks in between each season. Furthermore, the teachers who are supplementing their income as public school teachers, and public school teachers are underpaid and undervalued, especially considering they're molding the next generation of minds that will lead our world and our community. Public school teachers are coaching sports to supplement their underpaid income. We are now asking these public school teachers to do their jobs in a very trying and arduous setting, maybe in a virtual learning environment. And then we're even asking the public school teachers to have very little break in a condensed sports schedule, as they are the coaches for public school sports across Virginia. This is going to create dramatic stress. But I know we're a resilient group of people, and humans in general are resilient, much like the Schoenbergs, okay? So I think what's going to happen, we're going to be tested. Teenagers will, coaches will, public schools will, but I expect them to rise to the challenge. The Virginia High School League delaying the start of public school sports until December 14th by a 31-1 special executive session vote. The next headline I want to get to, Judah Wickhauer, is the future of ACC football. Jerry Radcliffe, my former boss. My first job out of the University of Virginia was as a sports writer for the Daily Progress. I parlayed that into a syndicated radio show called The Jerry Miller Show on 12 ESPN affiliates in 3 states. I parlayed the Jerry Miller Show on 12 ESPN affiliates in 3 states into 2 TV shows on NBC 29, Varsity Lights with Jerry Miller, and the Jerry Miller Show, which aired Saturday at noon and Sunday at noon. Okay, so Jerry Radcliffe was my first boss that helped get this all started at the Daily Progress. His nickname, Hootie. His website, jerryradcliffe.com. He releases a report yesterday. In fact, I'm going to reach out to Hootie to see if we can get him on the show. Hootie releases a story yesterday that the Atlantic Coast Conference will likely play a 10+1 football schedule. 10 ACC games plus 1 out-of-conference games. He's saying in this schedule that the SEC and the Big 12 are also pushing hard to do this. They're saying the SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC that the year and the season might get delayed till the end of September or early October. Regardless, as a piece of hope and positivity for this program, we are seeing the ACC moving forward, according to Jerry Ratcliffe, and he is connected, moving forward with a 10+1 football schedule, 10 in-conference games, 1 out-of-conference game for the 2020 fall football season. We're going to follow that very closely. And one more item out of the notebook, Judah, from FCS Football. FCS, give me the thumbs up when that's on screen, is the league, is the division of football that is right below the big boys. This is the William & Marys of the world, okay? The James Madisons of the world. FCS is playing in the spring. There is now a movement going within FCS. This was at one time 1AA, Division 1 AA football. There is a movement among FCS and 1AA football to potentially keep its football season in the spring moving forward. This is the thought process. Division 1 AA football is often overshadowed by Division 1A football. It's overshadowed by a TV rights deal. It's overshadowed by attention by the media. It's overshadowed by in-person attendance. So many of the athletic directors at Division 1 AA football are realizing that if we have the football in the spring, then we will be the only show at the rodeo, the only horse at the rodeo. So NFL and 1A football happens in the fall. Then you go to the spring where people are craving and chopping at the bit for pigskin. So the William & Marys and the JMUs of the world, the 1AAs of the world are saying, oh my goodness, maybe the spring is where we should play because we're going to get more attention than ever before and we're going to get those TV rights deal. CBS, ESPN, Fox, the NFL Network, all NBC, they are chomping at the bit for quality sports content in the spring, the dog days after March Madness when there's nothing on air. The only issue we have to ask ourselves is with the NFL draft. A lot of 1AA players go into the NFL draft. Not a ton, but some. If they play in the spring, will they get the exposure for the National Football League draft that happens shortly thereafter? Okay? Maybe we're seeing a positive here from COVID and that 1AA football gets more attention in the spring and gets out of the shadows of their 1A bigger brother. I'll go to comments on the show, and if you have any, now's the time to do it. Man, Stephen Barnard, you are getting a lot of props on this program. Laura says, Jerry, I love your show. I'm watching in Richmond. When we come visit Charlottesville, we often go to Keswick Vineyards. They do wine the right way. I agree. They do wine the right way. Wow. Aaron King, welcome to the broadcast. Greg says this, I'm a member of the Keswick Wine Club, and there's nothing more my husband and I enjoy doing than getting the wines delivered to us, especially since we're spending more time at home. Stephen, thank you for making a great wine. Thank you, Grace, for watching the show. Jacqueline Greiger, hello. Denise Tenery, nice to see you at the pool yesterday. She's watching the program. She, I believe, the marketing director at Mount Ida Farm, Denise is watching. Neil Sam, hello. Curtis Shaver, hello. Give it a like, give it a share. Tomorrow's program is huge, okay? I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but I very much encourage you guys to watch tomorrow's show. And why I encourage you guys to watch tomorrow's show is because we have Bashir for Bashir's Taverna in studio. And Bashir is going to let us know something tomorrow on this program that is going to impact you, especially if you know him. Bashir is as good a man as you're going to find. Same with his wife. He'll join us tomorrow in a safe and social distance fashion. And Bashir is going to let you know something tomorrow on set that you need to hear. 12:30, I Love CVille show. Please watch it. Thank you, Stephen, for joining us on the broadcast. I love you, Bashir. We'll see Bashir tomorrow at 12:30 on the I Love CVille show. For Judah Wickhauer, I'm Jerry Miller. We'll see you in T-minus 23 hours. Take care, guys.